Alright, hello people from the internet. Hello everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Um, I am here and I am going to be playing some arena because I can. And because that's pretty much what I would be doing off stream anyway. So might as well turn on the stream and, you know, be here. Um, that hand is pretty rough. Not the greatest hand. It might be playable. Interesting. On a good draw, this deck kills in turn 3. It's actually ridiculous. I've heard that it can kill on turn 2. But I'm not playing that build because I don't have those ley lines, or I want to get them. Look at that. It's another one of those 1-power creatures that do that when they die. Those are pretty good. Not the greatest draw. In fact, I would even go as far as to say it was a pretty bad draw. That is pretty good. Opponent kills the Feldon. Gives me 2 draws. Sure thing, opponent. This is not my kind of gameplay, really, but it is the kind of gameplay that wins games pretty fast. That's why I like it. Yeah, it is on the easier side of things to play, and it ends games really fast. 4 or 5 minutes. Perfect deck to climb the ranks, which is kind of what I'm feeling like doing. It's not the kind of deck that I would play for like a tournament or something. I would probably play a deck that's worse actually for a tournament. Um, but a deck that lets me, make more decisions, which is pretty funny because I have really not been playing Yu-Gi-Oh at all. I have a lot of time in Master Duel, but I cannot really play it as it is nowadays because it's kind of unbearable and supremely unfun. Um, because the best decks I feel like play like this, but instead of taking minutes to win, they take minutes per turn with very little interaction one way or another. which I don't really find fun at all. At least in this one, I play my land and then I play my 1-drop and then I pass the turn, right? But in Yu-Gi-Oh, it's not quite like that. It's like I take 6 or 7 turns, and then my opponent gets to take 6 or 7 turns if I allow them to do so, or the other way around. I don't know, like, when it comes to that card, like, the effect is quite good if you do get it off, but it is an aura, and that is not great. And it is quite strong. Exile target non-land permanent. And it also gives +1/+0 lifelink and Ward 2. I think the lifelink may have just won the game for my opponent. Yeah. I mean, I guess I can still make it. It all depends on whether or not my opponent has another one of those. Wouldn't be surprised if that card was like a direct counter to what I'm doing, because it's a rather popular thing to play with, because it is pretty strong. Now, opponent doesn't swing. That is not good at all. I need to keep the mana open so I can Monstrous Rage the Monastery Swift Spear to kill the Veteran Survivor. That's really rough. This is a bad matchup. I feel like I should maybe quit. This is best of 1, by the way, which, yeah, I think that it is gambling. I'm not beating that because of the lifelink. That enchantment is so strong. I wonder if I should play Lightning Helix in this deck. Though, funnily enough, this is crazy because burn spells are like the pillar of burn. Um, but I feel like burn spells are too slow. I feel like you cannot just play a 2-mana deal 3 damage card because it's just way too slow. I do have to say that a 2-mana deal 3 damage card would have been a pretty great thing to have there. Would have been quite useful. I hope you have been doing okay. Um, I put an update on my content Patreon. You want to watch it? Hello, Cillian. Thank you for stopping by. I figure that the update will go to YouTube in time. Yeah, I hope you all get to have nice holidays and that kind of thing. I think my opponent might be playing Hearth Control, which is a terrible idea to be doing in best of 1. Guess we do the same thing again. A bit tired of 9 Chelling. You got a new best, died on floor 23 about a week ago. It sounds like you got pretty close to the end. It's only a matter of time. It looks like when you get back to it, you're probably gonna be able to beat it. I've been stuck at 2 lands for a little bit too long. This deck has 20. It is uncomfortable to be stuck at 2. I would like to be at 3, and I would be able to do a lot more. Like play this guy and also cast one other thing. The longer this goes on, the more likely it is that my opponent actually gets to win the game. Unfortunately, I got stuck at 2 lands. My opponent had some pretty good removal to deal with the things that I have been doing. Well, this is the one removal, that as well, I suppose, and counter. Yeah, that has represented a lot of life gain effectively for my opponent. What I'm going to do is play these, and next turn I'm gonna try to go for the win. Yeah. I was thinking if I should save that for this guy, but no, next turn I'm gonna play this guy and this thing. I think that if I don't win this turn, I am almost guaranteed to lose the game. A nice top deck would be another Boros Charm or Bolt Wave to finish things off. Then my opponent would counter it. Oh, let's go. My opponent had nothing. Yeah, that untapped mana from 5 mana Teferi is always unnerving, because you don't know if your opponent actually has something to do with that 5 mana. That should be the first 10 floors with relatively weak RNG compared to what you usually need. And in the easiest area because you didn't find the overpowered one of Blast Wave. You don't know how to play without it. Opponent gets ley lined of the void. That's a very weird thing to be playing in best of one. Why are you like that? Is a sideboard card, definitely. I have no idea why my opponent is playing that in the main in best of one. I don't really care about that. That's a lot of damage. Thing is that getting the rest might be a little bit difficult. Or not. I really was thinking that my opponent was gonna get some form of removal. Even one removal spell there would have been rough. It's part of the reason why I don't really like this deck archetype, but it is effective for climbing. Yeah, I think that what I'm doing right now is not really magic. It's more like Grinding Simulator 2024, soon to be Grinding Simulator 2025. Drawing an untap land would be pretty huge here. Rough. I don't think I have a turn 3 kill. Probably gonna have to wait until turn 4. My opponent is playing something very similar to what I'm playing, but slower. Yeah, I could go for the big turn by playing Bolt Wave and turn inside out here, but I don't think that's enough to win. Opponent plays Cacophony's Camp and passes the turn. Oh, lots one of these. I don't know. I like just playing it and swinging. In fact, I think that if my opponent had played it, this would go better. My opponent, because then opponent would have a flying blocker, which is something that my opponent doesn't have right now. Okay, no blockers. So I don't think that kills. Oh no, it does kill. And this is so silly. This is such jank, but it definitely works for climbing, as you have already seen. In order for me to get to Mythic, I need to win like quite a lot in a row, actually. We are in Diamond 3. I need to win to get to 2 and then to 1. And then if I win in 1, I get to promote to Mythic. Not really that difficult. But this kind of hand is not the best kind of hand for that kind of thing. I think I have to mulligan. And if I have to mulligan, I'm probably gonna lose. Yeah, this hand with one creature would be insanely good. This is like a turn 3 kill with one creature. Or is it a turn 2 kill? No, no, it cannot be a turn 2 kill. This is rough, but it's better. All creatures is better than all combat tricks, because at least all creatures gets to play a little bit. I'm gonna send back. Considering what I drew, maybe I should have played this thing. Would deal 15 on turn 2, which is kind of a lot. Interesting, no blocks. What is my opponent playing? Okay. For me, any kind of damage that doesn't require me to use my stuff in hand is pretty much free damage. And this thing I'm not playing to cast the creature side. Like, I don't care about that. I care about the sorcery side, which is pretty much a flink. Also sacrifices the creature. Well, flinks sacrifice creatures, right? But the thing is that the creatures often have effects that say when it dies, it deals damage equal to its power to target opponent, and that is pretty good. It's a lot of damage. I think that this is the turn my opponent dies. Interesting. Oh yeah, that is it. And on top of that, I could have dealt 5 more. It's pretty crazy how quickly this thing kills. That hand's fine. I don't think that we're gonna run into a lot of trouble. I would like to draw an untap land. That is a little bit rough. Not terrible, but it is a little bit annoying. That is not an untap land. I think my opponent might also be playing Burn, but it is a version of Burn with burn spells instead of what I am playing. That will deal a lot of damage to me. I kind of feel... No, wait. If I do turn inside out, pop the scamp, my opponent goes to to 4. That means my opponent can play 2 cards. Is that gonna be enough? I don't think that's gonna be enough. So yeah, my opponent playing Eidolon was probably a mistake because it's gonna backfire harder than it's gonna hurt me. Yeah, my opponent goes to 4. I have 4 damage spell in hand, so my opponent will die next turn. And my opponent can only play 2 cards because of Eidolon. Yeah, I wouldn't play Eidolon if I'm playing that kind of deck. Or rather, I would play it to kind of seal the deal, which my opponent was nowhere close to doing. Now, do I have Eidolon in my account? Let's see, because I might want to play it. Originally, I was gonna make a different version of the deck with this card called Shrapnel Blast, which says as an additional cost to cast this spell, sack an artifact, and it deals 5 damage to any target, which means my opponent. But I wanted to play other like cards, other artifacts that are not here. Like I had a kind of a cool deck plan that didn't really get to be built. You know, something that has already been tried and true in paper. But this is also okay. Ah, yeah, like the Eidolon. Let me check for it. I do have one Eidolon of the Great Rebel, but I don't think that is quite what I want. Maybe I could play one, but does it really go with the deck? I mean, I guess yes, since it does damage, right? But I don't know if I want to add it to the deck right now, or add it to the deck at all. That hand is rough. I do still see myself winning, especially because I don't know what I'll draw. Like drawing a 1-mana creature, especially one of the ones that pop themselves. Well, deal damage when they die. Yeah, that is exactly what I meant. One of the ones that deal damage when they die, that would be great. Like that one, exactly what I wanted to see. Now let's see if my opponent has removal. Because if my opponent doesn't have removal, there will be a lot of damage coming my opponent's way. So opponent playing Legendary Tribal. That was insane damage, unreal amounts of damage. My opponent is at 2. Yeah, of course. Opponent says GG. I still have a lot of gas. Oh, my opponent might have just comboed me to death. Turn to the hand. Okay, so you get infinite mana with Mox Amber. What can you do with that? I'm a little bit curious about what my opponent can do with infinite mana. Oh, this thing draws then these cards. That sucks. It means my opponent can find whatever. Okay, I get it. If you can find whatever, And my opponent's not doing it. Wow, this card is pretty disgusting. Yeah, okay, I'm not gonna surrender. My opponent needs to show me what you can do with all that infinite mana if you're not drawing, discarding. Yeah. I think that my policy is to let you combo if you want to play combo in Magic Arena. Go ahead. I can wait. Oh, wait. I didn't notice that Skrelv was getting larger. Hold on. Creatures you control get +1/+1 until end of turn. Man, that's disgusting. That is pretty disgusting. Because I think that, like, in terms of turns, it kills as fast as my deck. The difference is that it takes a lot more game time. Also, like, it was a 3-card combo. Requires too many pieces for my liking. No, it was a 4-card combo. Because my opponent played a card that said tap to return something to hand. So my opponent needed the Mox, the Jeskai Ascendancy, that card that gave the ability to tap to return to hand, and the Skrelv. No, it needed to be a low-cost legendary because that's the only way that the Mox generates mana. Man, 4-card combo. I feel like this is keepable. Turn 2 into turn 3. That is 6, 9, 12, 15. Oh yeah, we are gonna do a lot of damage. The opponent here. Um, Kind of a greedy play because I feel like just using the pump spells achieves a similar effect. Let's see. I dealt 16. The Boros Charm dealt 8. This would have dealt. No, well, it dealt 8. This would have dealt 6. No, they would have dealt the same amount of damage because it's 2 procs of the passive. Well, not the passive, but like the ability of this guy. And then Boros Charm would have killed here. Okay, it was a mistake to use Boros Charm double strike there, even if I got a lot of value out of it. Ooh, and that thing makes food, I think. So I need like a haste thing or Bolt Wave, which I discarded earlier. If I can draw one of those, like a haste creature or Bolt Wave, we are fine. Otherwise, I think I will not win because my opponent will start gaining life with those foods. Oh, haste creature, let's go. I do have plenty of haste creatures. Do I really have plenty of haste creatures? I think I only have the Swift Spears and Feldon. I think those are the only haste creatures that I have. Not my favorite hand, not the greatest hand, but it might be playable. Um, these needed to be pump spells for things to get truly crazy with this hand. Since they're burn spells instead of pump spells, this is significantly less exciting. Yeah, this needed to be pump spells. It's kind of rough. Maybe I should have mulliganed this hand. But since I saw the creature, I had hopes for it. Alright, opponent. What are you planning to do with all of that mana? Approach of the second sun. The gain 7 life is enough for my opponent to win the game. My draws were bad. I drew 5 lands, and I didn't draw any pump spells. It was terrible. Yeah, if those bolt waves had been pump spells, it would have been a whole nother story. I wouldn't really say the deck is inconsistent because, well, how many games have I won already on stream? Um, and how many times have I been unable to play? There was only one time where my opponent was faster than I was. So yeah, I would say that this is a pretty good deck for the purposes of climbing. It seems to be winning quite consistently, and um, it also wins pretty fast. So not only does it win consistently, it also wins fast. Both of those things are really good. I would still not play something like this in best of 3 or in ranked. How about that emergency Splinter Twin on ban? Yeah, it was so fast, all things considered. Skrelv again. Is my opponent playing that Jeskai combo again? Because if so, that would be annoying. Yeah, finally it happened. Before it was banned, I once played against someone who was playing a modern Living End Splinter Twin deck with my standard deck, and in my standard deck I happen to have Virulent something, Virulent, or however you say it in English. Um, it's an enchantment that costs 3 mana and that says creature tokens get -2/-2. So my opponent could make infinite tokens, but the tokens were unable to do anything. Like they couldn't, they had no power because of my enchantment, which was like my deck was completely standard legal. My opponent's deck was a modern deck, through and through, and I won because of that enchantment. It was pretty funny. You know what? I'm gonna swing with the mouse as well. Oh, this deals damage to the opponent. I thought that it said any target. I was gonna get rid of this because I feel like my opponent is about to combo me in a weird way. Okay. Lifelink is the true killer there. It was also not a great hand. I got 5 lands. No creatures. I'm gonna keep it. Let's see what happens. I was gonna make a deck like that. But there's only one bushwhacker. Um, I don't think there's goblin grenade either. Like, yeah, there's like a lot of things missing. This hand sucks. I'm probably gonna lose. Depending on how fast my opponent's deck is, I might lose. This is very similar to, well, it's not very similar, but it's like kind of like my Popper deck. My Popper deck plays Traven Inspector instead of Novice Inspector. But other than that, it is pretty similar. I used to play Kuldota Rebirth, which does pretty much the same thing as this card. But I took it out because my opponents have too much removal for the Goblin tokens. So now I just play Synthesizer, which I wouldn't be surprised if my opponent was playing. Burning 3 Emissary. Pops the clue. My opponent's at 13. Oh, you've been playing Sacred Foundries untapped a little bit too much. That might be your doom, opponent. Seriously? So my opponent needs to win next turn, which is perfectly feasible. Yeah, with one more land, I have the win there. Or if I had played an untapped land and Bolt Wave on turn 1, I would have won there. Yep, that is more than enough. More than 10. I was one turn too slow. Been getting a bad streak, like a streak of losses. Kind of rough. Diamond 1. Okay, so next turn I lose because of this thing. It's 7 mana, and my opponent can pop this to give it haste and kill me. That is kind of funny. I think that once again, had I drawn a land, maybe I would have been able to make it. No, I needed way more than just a land. Um, the thingy that flinks the creature would have won me the game here because it would deal 5 and then the hero would deal 5. But I didn't have it. I wonder if I should play 4 of those. I don't have 4, and I'm feeling like I should play 4. Yeah, there's definitely been some situations where if I had that card, I would have won the game. Yeah, I only have 2. I can play more than 4, actually. There is Thought as well. Additional cost to cast this spell, sack a creature. Thought deals damage equal to the sacked creature's power to any target. So you could play 4 and 4, and we could also get rid of the Swift Spears. Maybe we get rid of the Bolt Waves. It sounds crazy, but hear me out. We get rid of the Bolt Waves. We replace them for um, we replace them for these guys. Yep. And now I have to take out 6 cards. Am I really in need to? I feel like I could just play one Thought as like the 5th one of that effect. Luckily, they're uncommons and not rares. Not enough pump spells. I'm gonna keep it. I feel like it is winnable if I draw some pump spells. When it's playing a life gain deck, though, I think that my deck has a better matchup against life gain decks. Um, if my opponent gains too much life, however, it might just kill me. Okay, that is would be nice if I also had a pump spell. Maybe I should play more pump spells. Um, wouldn't be the first time that I find myself missing some pump spells. Okay, so I I can do 2, 4, 7, 7, 10. Yes, that's what I can do. If I draw one more pump spell, I think I can win. Um, okay, my opponent's getting out of the kill range pretty fast, but nothing that pump spell or 2 cannot fix. No blockers. We don't have one if this had been played as a land that generated red mana, because my opponent is in 6. I would have dealt. No, I would have won. I would have won because this deals would have dealt 5 and then 5 again. That was enough. My opponent is gonna gain life here, so that will most likely put me out of range. 7. No, I think that we're good. There we go. So yeah, I didn't know. I thought that I could have drawn a Boros Charm. I think that playing around the possibility of drawing a Boros Charm is it was not like the wrong play. But fortunately, I didn't die versus a life gain deck. And yeah, if I had been playing the normal kind of burn that plays burn spells instead of pump spells, I think that I wouldn't have stood a chance. Okay, that hand looks okay. I have one of these creatures that deal damage when they die, a fling, and a pump spell. If I draw, what would be nice to draw here? I guess that's fine. A better creature to pump with the pump spell. And another pump spell. That's pretty good. Ooh, it would be fantastic if I could flip it face up to punish my opponent for that, but I can't. I guess that's fine. Could potentially win next turn if my opponent doesn't have removal for this guy. Oh no, I can't because this is not the one that sacrifices itself. Oh, now I can. Let's see what happens. That's beautiful. It's enough to win. When have you seen a burn spell eat 3 removals and like a burn deck eat 3 removals and win the game? This is so silly. Wouldn't be surprised if it got hit on Arena at some point because it really is kind of vile. Man, this hand is not good, but I'm gonna keep it because like it's when I say it's not good, I mean this is not gonna kill on turn 3. Which is kind of insane that that is my bar for this hand is good or not good. Um, I play a crazy amount of 1-drops. It's a little bit unfortunate that I didn't draw any. It's gotta be like 13 1-drop creatures. Playsets of the 3 guys that deal damage when they die. And the Monastery Swift Spear. Yeah. Well, I took out the 1 mana 3 damage. I don't think that it is like a bad thing to keep around the 4 mana 2 damage cards. That's fine. Okay, we're gonna be losing a lot of life from that. I would say this is a bad matchup because of the crazy amount of life gain. Better than the dedicated life gain deck that we saw earlier. As Boros Charm number 4, and I would have really liked to see a creature. Maybe playing 5 of these is not the best idea. Maybe I should be playing less than that. You know, I would like this button that says auto passing to actually do something. Oh, we drew a creature. Not only a creature, but a creature with flying. I wonder if I should suspend it, you know, plot it, so that next turn I can play it, play Infuriate, play this as well, and that way I don't expose it to like. Okay, so if my opponent has removal, if my opponent has removal, it's not gonna be sorcery speed removal. We know that the opponent has fatal push, so might as well just go for it. Yep, that created a removal spell in my opponent's hand. Yeah, pretty rough. The normal burn version would also have a lot of trouble dealing with this because it's just too much gaining life from the cats. These cat deck players always get the oven and the cat in their first hand. I don't know how they do it. If I was to try to play that, I wouldn't get those. Okay, playing against a Mythic player. Rough hand, but I would like to believe it's keepable. We got a slick shot, or maybe a turn 3 play. One has removal. A little bit hasty on that removal, since it would have been... my opponent would have gotten more value since I have combat tricks. One takes 6. Chandra Torch of Defiance. Surely it kills the slick shot. You know, I changed the deck and I'm getting relatively bad matchups. Maybe I should change it back. No, I messed up. I meant to click the 4 damage. Ooh, that's rough. Yeah, but that is entirely my fault. Yeah, that newest guy that deals damage when it dies is probably the worst of the bunch, because at least this one buffs itself um when you target it, and this one can just sacrifice itself for no reason. So I would say this is the best, and this is the second best. Drawing on tap land would be pretty good. Jeez, I kill next turn. Oh, that's not a bad card. It might be better than the one that I am playing, +3/+2, because it gives 1 less toughness, but it gives a scry, and the scry is worth quite a bit. Why exactly is it that I can, with some semblance of consistency, kill on turn 3? Like, I think that it is quite ridiculous that that is a thing that can be done. It really renders things that don't have low cost removal completely unplayable. This is a pretty okay hand for a huge turn 3. That's fine. Now my opponent is one bolt away from demise. Demise? Yeah, I'm taking those infuriates out for Titan Strength. That is it. Yep, that was not a turn 3 kill, it was a turn 4 kill through Totsis. So when it comes to this deck, if Lightning Bolt were legal, like if it was legal in this format, like I mean obviously it would replace Bolt Wave, but I don't know if I would play Bolt Waves on top of Lightning Bolt, which is crazy to think about. That's kind of despicable. My opponent already has 4 devotion to green. Okay, this is a really good draw. I do not have bomb spells for it, however. Perhaps I should have just played the Slick Shot. And then next turn I would have been able to deal a lot of damage. Gonna place Kiora, and then Kiora makes a million mana. Yeah, because you have to... Okay, and then you play Collected Company. Oh wow, you found another Nyctos, okay. Either my opponent had a second Nyctos in hand, or they got really lucky. I like Feldon because people don't want to block that card. It's like the 3-mana guy that when it takes damage, the opponent cannot heal for the rest of the game, pretty much. Opponent has 3 mana. Ooh, the second Kroxa hurts. Yeah, I needed this Volt Wave to win next turn. Amazing. I was hoping for a burn spell, and I got the Boros Charm. That's beautiful. Yeah, Pump Spell wouldn't have gotten the job done. Or maybe it would have if my opponent didn't have removal for the flyer. Oof, that guy is really, really strong. I think this is a bad card. I think it does way too little. I think I may have messed up a little bit. Yeah. I think that the play here was to just fling the Heartfire and deal 15. Like 5 with the Heartfire swing, 5 with the fling, and 5 with the Heartfire ability. And then my opponent would once again be only able to play 2 cards. And then I could just finish my opponent off in the next turn. Yep. Well, if I don't die this turn, I think I got it. I still got it. not the greatest hand. But I have this guy and I have a pump spell, so I believe. Since I don't really have a turn 1 play, I don't mind the tap land. I kind of feel that my opponent's about to do something really vile with this dinosaur. I have this feeling, but hopefully it's just a bad omen. Like, or just not a bad omen, just like hopefully it is nothing. I guess that we can put it like that. Now, do I want to Titan Strength this guy? That is, I feel like I should. Okay, that leaves my opponent at 8. So if I do not draw any lands, I win in 2 turns by casting 2 Boros Charms. I guess drawing lands doesn't really affect anything. Okay, as long as I don't die in 2 turns is what I should be saying. And it is looking like I might die in 2 turns. Okay, so I have 2 Boros Charms in hand, so I'm just gonna leave this guy to block, and I am not gonna do anything. It's gonna pass the turn. I can do that in my opponent's turn. My opponent doesn't need to know that I have access to that. That's 6, 12, so I leave on 1. Unless my opponent has a combat trick or burn. I think I played that very, very well. Yeah, if I had played it in almost any other way, I wouldn't have been able to win. Yeah, just climbing just fine without a lot of complications here. You know, I find it curious that there's not a lot of people in the chat whenever I am playing Magic, because I would think that Magic would appeal to the people that enjoy Crawl. It still requires a lot of thought. Maybe not while I'm playing this, but in general, that's what I have noticed, that whenever I'm playing Magic, there's not a lot of people watching. Um, anyway, it's looking like we are getting close to Diamond 2. I started at Diamond 4. I had like 2 wins or so looking fine. I don't dislike that hand. In fact, I like it quite a bit. Okay, so here we would have 4, 8, 12. 15, 18. And then 2 power creatures, so that's 20. Okay, we might be able to do this. Yeah, I could wait for the second combat trick, but I have a plane, so I wouldn't even be able to play 3 red cards in the same turn. And I just figured that I might as well take what I have access to right away. Okay, opponent stepped out. So that is it. That is a turn 3 kill. This deck is such robbery, dude. It is disgusting. I think that I can just like in good conscience I cannot smiley face when playing this deck. The fact that this deck is a thing that can be played is worthy of a frowny face, even if I am the one winning. I do think that some cards in this deck should be banned, at least in best of one, because I can play best of three Explorer, and I don't see these kind of decks in the queue. Because in best of three, people will sideboard hate out of it. It will be, or like not. It will be. It is insane. So one land hand, which is terrible because other than that, it's a pretty good hand. We have 2 combat tricks and the guy that sacrifices itself, and a slick shot. I'm gonna keep it. I hope that I draw my second land. If I don't draw my second land, well, that's just how it is. And I did draw the second land. That is massive. We don't have a turn. I don't think this deck kills on turn 2, but it is pretty close to a turn 3. Um, to turn 3 kill. Unless my opponent has removal, which, yeah, very feasible. I'm gonna play Slick Shot here to try to bait out some removals so it doesn't hit the Cacophony Scamp while I'm trying to buff it. My opponent didn't have anything, gains 3 life. That doesn't really matter. What is my opponent playing? Oh, it must be some 5-color deck. If my opponent doesn't have removal here, this kills. This is lethal. Okay, my opponent could have the much more rare counter target activated triggered card, or gain 3 life. That also works. Unfortunately for my opponent, I have 7 burning hands, so gain 3 life is not gonna get the job done. Man, this deck is really ridiculous because burn decks in times past had a very hard time dealing with opponents that gained life, right? My opponent gained 6 life in this game, and I won and I still had gas. So I think that this is pretty disgusting. Should probably not be in the game, like at all. If I draw one more pump spell, never mind. Talia ruined everything. Talia ruined everything in ways that my opponent is not fully realizing. Jeez, that's pretty bad. That is really, really, really bad. I should have swing. I should have attack with this guy as well, so I could kill Talia. Is my opponent playing humans? That might be what I am playing against. Yeah, that definitely looks like humans. Now that is pretty okay. I could have sacked it because of the damage from the mouse. Yeah. How would I hurt this deck? Like, what would I hit from it? Because I don't like it, and I think it's too busted, and it should be devastated in best of one. Um, These maybe because it gives trample, so it's like even more unbearable than what I mean by that is that like even if you have blockers, since this thing gives trample, it ruins it will get you the kill through blockers, which is ridiculous. Um, oh, that's a great draw. I'm thinking about going for it this turn, but I shouldn't. Yeah, I'm gonna go for the double Swift Spear. And then next turn I do it and I win. Yeah, this is disgusting. Maybe this one as well, but I think this one is more powerful. Surely my opponent has removal. It would be delightful if my opponent didn't have removal, but I'm almost certain that my opponent does have removal. Yep. And that gets the job done through removal. Diamond 2, getting pretty close to Diamond 1. We just need to win 4 more. Yeah, I'm keeping that. On doing the changes that I made to the deck worked very well because I was winning, then I made some changes and I started losing, and then I undid those changes and I started winning again. So we're gonna play this turn 2 and turn 3. We're gonna go off. That's why I didn't turn 1 Bolt Wave because I can get more value from it. I wonder what my opponent is playing. Some 5-color deck, most likely. Mana Confluence. But I don't know exactly what are you planning to do with those 5 colors. Grizzly Salvage. Ah, Grease Fang Reanimator is what you're playing. Well, you didn't mill a vehicle, which I like. I hope that you do not mill vehicles. Because there's a vehicle that gains my opponent a lot of life and makes a lot of blockers. There's like some really nasty vehicles that can be reanimated with this card. Still hasn't milled a vehicle. I like it. Opponent plays the land. Is it 5 colors or is it only 3 color deck? I think it's only 3 colors. Anyway, it's time for me to go off. By the way, messed up playing that planes. Oh yeah, that was such a bad play. I wasn't gonna win this turn anyway, so might as well take advantage of the planes. Play the Feldon, or rather, diminish the impact of the misplay that I did. I do not want to see any more lands. Yeah, I have 2 options. I could have used Monstrous Rage or Titan Strength, and I decided for the Titan Strength because of the Scry. Opponent? Am I going to get roped? Because if so, that would be funny. That is 13 damage right there, and I had more. I insist. It is kind of silly that this is so good. Now that I think of it, I haven't really seen a lot of removal, right? Like there's been some instances where my opponent has one removal spell that is used on like one of my creatures after I get the pump, right? Um, But there hasn't been multiple removal spells, and I think like the second and third removal spells are the ones that really seal the deal in favor of my opponent. So I guess I'm glad that um, it didn't happen. Yeah, pretty neat. In case my opponent has removal here, I might want to use the other one. So my opponent takes 4 and I get a creature. Ooh, and it got rid of 2 lands off the top. That's huge. Opponent duresses my Boros Charm away. What constructed format is this? This is Explorer, and I'm playing best of 1. Explorer is Pioneer, but it's not the full card pool of Pioneer because it hasn't been added to Magic Arena yet. But eventually, they say that eventually Explorer will be Pioneer. It just isn't yet, and unfortunately we do draw a land. Might still be able to make it. The double Thoughtseizes kind of hurt. Well, Duress and Thoughtseize. It would have been less painful if it had been double Thoughtseize. Because I'm out of juice. That is not fantastic. Not the kind of thing that you want to draw without access to bomb spells. This thing says target creature you control deals damage equal to its power to any other target, then sacrifice it. We do not care about the creature part of this card. We only care about the fact that it targets, and then you sacrifice it. Because I have a couple of creatures that deal damage to the opponent, equal to their power when they die. Opponent gains 3 life. And unfortunately, because of the double hand rip, the 3 life will actually be quite noticeable. Hopefully not unsurmountable. My opponent is stuck at... Oh, but look at that! My opponent has 2 pain lands. That is nice. Will definitely compensate for the life that has been gained. Opponent doesn't play anything. We Boros Charm for 4. Opponent goes to 7. Oh, Slick Shot. Would have been nice to know about that before I use my Boros Charm. Okay. And now if my last card was another Boros Charm, yeah, I would have gotten the job done. Unfortunately, the first one was discarded. Man, instant speed card that deals 4 damage to target player for 2 mana. I do not think, like, 4 damage to player for 2 mana is a crazy ratio. The fact that it is an instant is like icing on top of the cake. But I still do not think that that is the card to ban from this deck. I think that the better card to ban is the one that gives trample. Maybe this guy, even though I don't really think this guy contributes that much. The wins are very doable, like very achievable without this guy. Okay, that is it, opponent. Somehow I won this. I really didn't think I was gonna make it when I was stuck at 11. Well, when my opponent had 11 life and I had one creature and lands in hand. But making the 2/2 with the card and dealing the 4 damage was crucial. If I had not done that, I wouldn't have won that one. That looks really good. Fourteen damage in turn 2. It is pretty vile. Yeah, 14 damage in turn 2. It's not terrible. Okay, blue burn, not fast enough to deal with red burn. One win away from Diamond 1. And then we are 6 wins away from Master. I have only ever made on Mythic, that's what it's called in Arena. I have only ever made Mythic in Constructed once, and I was not playing Burn. But this time I don't care. I'm playing Burn. I love these lands because they enter untapped. Like it is either of those two colors untapped the turn you need it. The downside, of course, is that it is effectively a basic land every turn beyond that. Depending on what I get with this scry, oh, I do sack. Yeah, perhaps I should have gone with the double Titan strength to try to search for, like, to send lands down and stuff. That is not enough. Not gonna lie, I am enjoying this deck because it is beating decks that I do not like and that I generally don't beat with other decks that I make myself. Um, so I am enjoying it because of that. Because I feel like the decks that I lose to are decks that are built to completely ignore like the absence of of the aggressiveness that this deck presents in best of three. Because of course, like super ultra aggro is not really that abundant in best of three. Another fantastic hand. I'm getting some really good hands. I don't know what's happening, but I'm enjoying it quite a bit. This guy, 3 pump spells, Mastery Swift Spear. There is another version of the deck that is Grul instead of Boros. I wonder if I should try to build that. I don't know which one of these two um, mana bases is better because I know that my Boros mana base is not as good as the Grul mana base. But when it comes to the card that really makes that a thing, which is a Tarka's Command, I do have a playset of it. I think I bought the the set when it was on the shop a couple of years ago because I was like, oh, it has a Tarka's Command and it has Dromoka's Command and I think it also had Kolagan's Command and yeah, those are some of my favorite cards. Um, Kolagan's Command is my most favorite, but I also like Dromoka's Command. Tarko's Command, funnily enough, I do not like or enjoy. I would say that I dislike it. Um, but it is because of this deck that I could build that I dislike it, so might as well. Um, I wish this wasn't a tap land. Maybe I should take this land out of the deck. Maybe it would be better to just play a mountain. This thing counters unless I pay X for X is its power, but my opponent has to sack it. That's gonna be annoying. I have to say that I am drawing a little bit too many creatures. This would be better if these were probably burn spells. So that is 5, 8, 12, 16. No, no, it is like that. 5, 8, 12, 16. So my opponent would be left at 1 if I go for the sack. I think it's worth it. Oh no, it's gonna get countered by. I cannot believe that my opponent let it resolve. That's crazy. And perhaps a big mistake. Yeah, you know what? I'm gonna sack this guy. My opponent is at 1 life. My opponent was at 17 life last turn. This is really vile. Okay, kills the Heartfire hero. Unfortunately, it actually exiles the Heartfire hero instead of killing the Heartfire hero. Swing. Okay, now it all depends on whether or not I can draw, effective cards. So no lands, no non-hasted creatures. Um, Combat tricks and burn spells are the ideal thing to draw the next turn. Even then, I have my opponent at 2 life, so okay, that might be enough. Spell Queller. Nice try. That's why Cacophony Scamp is the best, because it just sacrifices itself and deals. It just sacrifices itself when it deals damage, and it deals the damage equal to its power. It reminds me of another 1 mana like creature from Scars of Mirrodin. That could sacrifice itself to deal 3. It didn't sacrifice itself to proliferate and it deals damage. No, it just sacrificed itself when it dealt damage to deal 3, which, yeah, it's not the worst, but definitely not on the same power level as this guy. Yep. It was close. It was a close match. Okay, Monastery Swift Spear. I do have Cacophony Scamp and 2 pump spells and Bolt Wave, so I like this. Big shot. I might die turn 3. So my opponent got to start. Fire Hero. Depending on what my opponent drew, I might die next turn. But I feel bad doing myself 1 or 2 damage to progress my game state, but this plains is pretty worthless. Like, I wish this was a mountain. I'm playing exactly 1 plains in the whole deck for like land destruction purposes. Okay, I have my turn 3 kill here. If my opponent doesn't have the turn 3 kill, I have the turn 3 kill. And it's looking pretty good for me. I don't think you have a turn 3 kill. Yeah, that doesn't matter. You're gonna tap and then you're gonna die. Or are you? I need to deal 1 damage to my... No! Yes, do that. Okay. Okay. Yes, okay, that's huge. Okay, four more. Four more. We're almost there. Wow, ranking up through the entirety of Diamond in one stream. It's only been 2 hours. I started. No, that's not true. Did I start in Diamond 4? I don't know. But what I do know is that this is going very well. Bomb spells. This is a risky keep, but my opponent gets to start, so I get one more draw. Oh, okay. Yeah, if I see Soulscar Mage, I know that my opponent is not in the same game plan that I am, so makes things a lot less scary, because that deck is slower. It's like the one that plays Kumano faces Kakasan, I think it's called like the enchantment. Which is it's a lot of value, but I don't think that value is what you want with a deck like this. Cacophony's Camp plus power increases spells to effectively deal double the damage. And then you also play this thing to deal triple the damage, because this deals damage and then you sacrifice the Cacophony's Camp or the mouse. Pinkie Pie avatar is very misshapen, ugly. Agreed. Um, I will tell you that it looks AI generated, but it was added to the game before that was a popular thing that company executives wanted to waste money on. I did draw my first pump spell finally, but it may be too late. Yeah. No matter how I play this, I think that I am not like one turn away from winning. I think that I am 2 turns away. And I might die in my opponent's next turn. I feel like I'm gonna die. I have this strong feeling that I'm gonna die in my opponent's next turn, um, but it's because I am like my opponent got to start. That's why I'm at 11 life. My opponent is at 14 with a burn spell in hand and 2 mysterious cards, which might be they're nothing. So that's 8. Oh no 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 no. My opponent needs one more card to play, which did happen. Okay, that's a shame. If I had gotten to start, I would have won that. Yeah, that was just a coin flip difference. Yeah, I gotta take this out of the deck, replace it with a mountain. Pretty much every time that I have drawn it, I have felt that a mountain would be a better card than it. In this case, however, I finally got to the 3 lands. Finally, as if it wasn't turn 1. But you know what I mean. It's felt like an eternity since I have gotten to be able to play this as an untapped land, because it enters tap unless I control 2 or more other lands. Um, not the greatest card for a hyper-aggressive deck that doesn't really want to get to 4 lands. So the window during which can be played as an untapped land, while not making me unhappy that I have it as a land is like pretty low. So I should replace it with a mountain. That card's really good. Used to be a very expensive card, but now not so much. And my opponent has a ridiculous combo deck that will exile this and will get like a ridiculous creature that might win the game for my opponent. I've collected Brutality Hurt. I lost a Pump Spell and the creature. I feel like I should use the Pump Spell because my opponent probably has some discard. So I just get rid of everything in my hand. And now your discard spells don't do anything. Do I want that? So here's the thing. If my opponent doesn't have removal, this wins me the game. Even if my opponent wants to block with this. If my opponent has removal, this loses me the game. But what are the odds that I see burn? Low because I have 4 Bolt Waves and 4 Boros Charms. Those are my only burn spells. I think we keep it on top. Opponent had removal for Feldon. That might be it. What draws save me here? Creature with haste. I have the Swift Spears, and I think only the Swift Spears. Well, it doesn't even save me. Okay. Yeah, bad matchup. Bad matchup. Did we lose 2 in a row? That's not good. I keep saying it that I'm gonna get rid of that, and I haven't gotten rid of it. I gotta replace it for a mountain. In this scenario, if that was a mountain, this would have been a really good hand. You're gonna counter my Swift Spear, which you wouldn't have been able to do if this had been a mountain. Oh no, that is really bad. Yeah, I think I'm dead. I think I'm dead. If these were lightning bolts or things like that, that dealt 3 damage to player, I would have lethal in my hand. Yeah, I don't think I'm gonna win this. I already flooded pretty hard. That is what, seven cards and 6 lands. 8, 7 and 7, 7 and 7. Not good. Okay, I got a creature, and that creature is not gonna survive the onslaught of removal slash counters that my opponent will throw at me. You know what? I think that we can just go next. Probably gonna be faster. Also, I didn't think I was gonna win that. One land. And I keep queuing right into the next game, and that is definitely not the best thing to do. I should go get rid of that land that has trolled me already a bit too much. That land has not really a lot to do here in this deck. Okay. That looks pretty good for maybe a turn 3 kill. Oh yeah, definitely a turn 3 kill. It depends on whether or not my opponent has disruption, I guess. My opponent paying 2 for the shock land is pretty good. Okay, and off we go. Opponent has something because of the untapped land. You wouldn't play it untapped versus burn if you didn't have something. It's kinda rough. And perhaps I should have kept the second pump spell, so I could do it next turn and fling the Swift Spear for the 6 damage. That would have been a better play. That's really rough. Okay, it not trading with the slick shot is kind of a huge deal because that makes it possible for me to win next turn, assuming that my opponent doesn't have anything. Opponent cycles Sharknado for 0. This portable hole, man. Boros Charm doesn't get the job done here. A second Bolt Wave. A second Bolt Wave? No! We can play Scamp now that my opponent doesn't have removal. Or like my opponent doesn't have a counter. And also that lets me pop the maps. Which might not be possible. Might not be possible later that my opponent has removal. I'm gonna get a mouse, which I can use with Kaldo's Sellsword to deal 4, which is pretty good. I'm gonna play the mouse. Then I'm going to Kaldo's Sellsword. Opponent goes down to 1. And I have a burn spell in my hand. Why am I plotting that? So I can cast it, and in the same turn use Bolt Wave, and that way my opponent needs to be able to answer both those things in the same turn or die. You gain 3 life is probably the worst possible thing to see. I hope that my opponent didn't top deck that. This spear, I'm gonna keep it on top. Better than a land. Opponent says GG. I highly doubt that my opponent... I think that my opponent has the thing that exiles all my attacking creatures. That. Yeah. Wait. I might top deck Boros Charm. I'll tap deprive me of red mana. That's get lost number 3. It's really rough. Well, it was going to happen sooner or later. What if I play the tap lands that deal damage, like the deserts? I mean, think about it. If I had one of those, I would win. Unless my opponent can gain life. I did draw the Boros Charm. Now it's a matter of actually getting it to resolve. I want my opponent to tap out for like Sharknado or something. But I highly doubt that my opponent has more than 2 Sharknados in the deck. If I was my opponent, I would not untap for the rest of the game. Oh, okay, that seals the deal. I need to draw more removal, and I have at least one more draw, so I'm not gonna just shotgun the Boros Charm. I'm gonna hold on to it and see what I get off the top. That is not gonna get the job done. That's rough. That's rough. The amount of removal that my opponent drew was like crazy. That was like 6 or so removal spells. It's funny, I had a good streak, then I am having a bad streak, and at some point I'll have a good streak again, I would like to believe. And hopefully the good streak will get me to Mythic. Oh, beautiful. Playing against control again. Please don't have infinite removal spells. Supposedly control loses to super aggro like what I'm playing, but I mean if the opponent has infinite removal spells, it's kind of difficult to actually experience. Ah, this is the one matchup where the plot actually matters. So, okay. Today we learned something important, at least, when it comes to this matchup. Okay. Is that it? Do we win here? It's 4-7-10. We do! Oh man! Look at what my opponent just did. My opponent just like effectively ramped 1-2-5 as white blue, and we are gonna win in turn 3. I'm so happy that there's no like free spells in this format. Another control match. It's kind of rough. Oh, it may not be control. It's not a card that control plays. It might be like spirits or something. You know what? I'm okay with trading those. Another card that could be banned is Monastery Swift Spear. This card is pretty despicable as well. That is not gonna cut it. That is maybe gonna cut it. My opponent's probably gonna block with everything. No? Yeah, do you have to block? Okay, back to Diamond 1. I would like to get to Mythic. Doing it in one stream from Diamond to Mythic would be pretty funny. Come on, make it happen. Ah, I remembered. I keep just instantly queuing up. I only have one of these, man. It appears so often. Let me see my Boros, not my Boros, my Grul mana base. Okay, we have 4 copper line gores. We have 4 inspiring bandages, so that's fine. We have the MDFCs. I think I have them all. Like I think I had a lot of foresight and I drafted a lot of these sets and Kaldheim as well, so I could have them all because I knew I was gonna use them quite a bit. I have one Painland. Yeah, this set released and I was not playing Arena. We have one of those that I would get rid of. We have 4 check lands, which, yeah, I only have one check land of the Boros colors, so I would say that my Grul is better than my Boros. Okay, if I find difficulties climbing, like if I don't get to Mythic by the end of this stream, I'm gonna make a Boros version of this deck, which, or like not a Boros version, a Grul version, which is probably gonna be quite similar. Oh yeah, the Grul man is way better because this card exists and there's no equivalent in Boros colors. Okay, so I have to do that. The mana is way better in Grul. But that will not be something that I do right now. I'll try to climb with what I have for the rest of the stream. I'll give it 1 more hour, okay? If in the next hour I'm not in Mythic, I'll end stream and I'll come back tomorrow with with the different deck. It's gonna be almost entirely the same, except that instead of Boros Charm, I'm gonna be playing a Tarkas command. If I had Mana Confluence, I would play Mana Confluence and I would just play Boros Charm and a Tarkas command. But it might be a bit greedy of a mana base, but but I could give it a try. Oh boy. Magic Arena is definitely waiting to feed me an opponent that has a deck that counters my deck. Let's see what happens. That hand looks okay. Opponent might have a bolt for the Swift Spear. Yep. Decks that have such efficient removal are really difficult to deal with. We are probably dead. My opponent's playing Phoenix. Phoenix has quite a bit of removal, so I don't think I'm gonna resolve any of these combat tricks. If I was playing best of 3, I would remove the combat tricks and I would side in burn. Even if it's 2 mana burn spells, would be better to be able to play those than have, 4 combat tricks and a fling in my hand with nothing to use those things on. Boros Charm. At least that is something that I can cast. Yeah, I hit that auto passing doesn't just actually auto pass. Like, in what situation would I want to buff my opponent's creature? Pretty rough. This looks promising. If the opponent doesn't have removal, I have a turn 3 kill. Okay, my opponent's playing some jank combo. The jank combo of the guy that exiles the Sylvan Caryatid, I think it is. Or is it something else? Anyway, you are so dead, opponent. Nothing nicer than greedy opponents that tap out. So enjoyable and sweet. No bump spells. It's a risky keep, but I am going to do it. Oh, I might be dead. I don't have that. It didn't really want to craft them. It all depends on what my opponent has. Maybe my opponent has that and nothing else, though I find that highly unlikely. I wouldn't really keep that if I was my opponent. Should I use removal on the mouse? Because I can. This thing deals damage to any target, any other target. So I can use removal. So that is not enough, probably. Yep. A little bit short. I wonder if my opponent's playing Boggles. If you are, please don't have anything with lifelink. That's fine. Oh, my opponent didn't want to swing. That's pretty good. That is a good omen. I take that trade. I could also go for Monstrous Rage to give it trample. My opponent would take 5, 6, 7, 8. But I'm probably better off holding on and doing the Flink play next turn. For life is a steep price to pay. Oh, brother. Why would you do that? It has trample. Okay, can I win 5 in a row? Is the question. Can I win 5 in a row? Because if I can, then that um, that would be pretty good, and I would be very happy, and I would be in Mythic, and I would be able to end stream. Maybe not play any more Magic Arena, in fact, until next year, on stream at least. But if I can attend on Mythic this stream, it's fine, no problem. I can stream it tomorrow. It really is not that hard if you're playing a really strong deck like the one that I am playing. Sometimes it gives me a game instantly, and sometimes it takes a while. That is pretty suspicious. Is it maybe searching for the perfect counter deck? It took almost a minute. I think I have... No, I do have 4 of these, right? And I am playing all 4 of them. Yeah, I was about to say that I was drawing that super consistently. Maybe I should have done the Titan Strength. Interesting. My opponent blocks with the FOMO. I am going to use Boros Charm. That kills the FOMO and deals 5... No, it deals 4 to my opponent. No blocks, huh? In that case, I'm not going to Boros Charm. We're gonna play this guy. I have no idea what my opponent is playing. I have not seen that card in any Explorer decks ever. I think we do want land number 3, so I can place Boros Charma and Kalos Sellsword. Well, is burned together, not Kalos Sellsword. And so we get Xaxes. If I had used the combat trick, I wouldn't have won that. Okay, I'm starting to learn the deck. That was pretty good. It's not as crippling as it would normally be because I have plenty of creatures apparently. Maybe I should have played the Feldon instead of the flyer. The better play there was to pump. My opponent would have used removal, and then I could have used Boros Charm to give it indestructible, and my opponent would have taken a lot of damage. That was the better play for sure. My opponent would have taken more damage, would have taken 5 instead of 4. No, it would have been 8 instead of 4, and I would have my dude. So yeah, that was a mistake. We don't care about that. That's a good draw. Should have used Titan Strength. Yeah. Instead of using this, I should have used this. Get the Scry to send potential lands to the bottom to try to search for the Flink, because the Flink wins me the game. Yes, it does win me the game here. And we're gonna get 2 draws next to Feldon. No. If I had kept my exiled cards exiled, I could have pumped my mouse and it would have killed. You gotta be joking. How could anyone like predict that? I might lose because of that. Like that was a sequence of unfortunate decision after unfortunate decision. I can still win. His dudes win me the game. Like these guy, Swift Spear not so much because there's a lot of blockers for the Swift Spear, and of course Bolt Wave and Boros Charm also get the job done. Bolt Wave and Boros Charm still get the job done. No, I'm dead. You know what I should have done as well? Like just one more mistake to finish things off. I should have used a pump trick on, or a pump spell on one of my opponents. One of my opponent's creatures, and that way I would have gotten the scry and I would have sent the thing to the bottom. Maybe I could have used the 2 pump spells for the scries. I think we have a very strong turn 3 here. Turn 2 is going to be double Swift Spear. And turn 3 we are going to go for ideally triple pump spell. And that is going to be a lot of damage. Or double pump spell plus Flink. That would also be nice. Yeah, by going wide instead of going tall, I am significantly less hurt by removal, which my opponent is probably gonna snipe something here. No snipe, it was a bounce spell. Regardless, I would have waited. I really would have waited until um is my opponent playing blue burn? Siled like half my deck. It's crazy. I don't think I use pump spells here. Hopefully I'm not walking into a wrath or anything. Okay. That is insane versus this deck. Being patient paid off really hard. If I had played that in most other ways, I wouldn't have made it. And also, my opponent could have had an on summon, and that would have also been disastrous because I got hurt really bad by my opponent's blue burn cards. I almost died. I was at 10 cards in deck. Um, yeah, that Tasha's hideous laughter really hurts this deck because everything costs zero or zero, one or two. Nothing costs zero, and I don't think I have any cards that cost three or more. Once again, I have the turn 3 kill. It all depends on whether or not my opponent has removal. Okay, BTE. By the way, BTE is a great card for the Gruul version of this deck. Yeah, you can do stuff like that. No blocks. And I feel like if my opponent got another turn, this would be game, but you're not gonna get another turn. I dealt so much damage. That was 17, and I was gonna deal another 10 on turn 3. 27 damage on turn 3. Jeez, this is really obscene. I have the mouse, the pump spell, and the fling. So that is looking like a turn 3 kill. Once again, turn 2 we do double Swift Spear. Yeah, we don't want to trade mice. That would be pretty bad. Okay, opponent is on Mana Confluence, so opponent might be playing that deck that I was talking about earlier, like Atarkar Red, but with Mana Confluence, so you can also do Boros Charm. I don't need to play the land just yet. That should be enough. So I think that the bad thing about this card is that it gets countered by removal, but I feel like it's unlikely that the opponent will remove it. Like it will actually cast removal on the guy that you're using that on, because if the opponent has removal, the removal would have been used before the fling. If I had Mana Confluence, it would be nice to have on this deck, because it would also allow me to play the fling as a creature, which I cannot do with my current mana base. Yeah, we could play this a lot more greedy with a more expensive mana base. I have the wild cards, but I don't really want to do it. I have played against this guy already. I remember that name. The One Ring. The Band Ring. Portable Hole on the Heartfire Hero. You're playing Control. I sure hope that's not enough. We are in a weird situation where we actually want to draw more creatures, because surely I'm gonna get it with removal spell after removal spell. Yep. That is the opposite of a creature. It's pretty rough. Okay. That is a draw right there. I think my opponent has removal. Yeah, the hesitation really made me think that my opponent has removal. Exile. If it was destroy, I would make a guy, but it's exile. We're not dead, but this is looking really bad. Once the opponent gets to Teferi, that's when things start going down the drain. This card is... I strongly dislike this card, because this card often means you lose the game. It might as well read you lose the game, but it takes half an hour for you to actually lose the game. Opponent plays on tap land, so surely there's some 3 mana removal or like counter that gains the opponent 3 life. Man, this is really rough. Why am I getting such bad draws? Yeah, I'm just gonna. The opponent had 2 cards in hand, but the next turn that was gonna be 4 cards in hand, because of Teferi, and then it was gonna be 6 cards in hand, and yeah, I'm pretty close. I think that before I lost, I was like 3 wins away from Mythic. I'll keep it. I have learned that sometimes it is better to keep hands with a lot of creatures. Yeah, and that is a swamp, so chances are good that I'm gonna have to deal with plenty of removal here. But down is a bad card versus this deck. Fatal Push would be way better, but I understand why you're not playing Fatal Push. Another mouse. And a Swift Spear. And if I had any pump spells... Nowhere to run, kills the mouse, I suppose. Oh man, this guy may not have played versus this deck if that is what you're removing with that. I hope I'm not walking into a Wrath here. That would really hurt. If there's single target removal in my opponent's hand, that's fine. If there is a Wrath, that's not fine. That's a perfectly reasonable card, and I think that this is the turn that we go off. Unfortunately, that guy gained the opponent's 6 life. We had Xaxes, and the 6 toughness of that thing prevented me from killing. Oh boy, I mean, I was happy with the first like 4 creatures or so. In fact, of them 3 died, and I have 3 more, so I drew another one. If this had been a pump spell, I had the game, I think. Did I? Should I swing? No. I am one pump spell away from victory. Boros Charm would also do it. Depends on what my opponent has in hand. Yeah, that card is completely irrelevant. I think that my opponent's Archfiend of the Dross might actually kill my opponent because my opponent is at 5 life, so my opponent cannot attack with Archfiend. If you attack with Archfiend, I think I win. Are you serious? Okay, okay, okay. That is yet another creature. Jeez, why? Why is this happening? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Oh man, I might be dead. I cannot do that. I think that if my opponent somehow kills everything in my board, I win. If my opponent has one removal spell, like targeted removal, I lose because of the Archfiend of the Dross. And my opponent probably has it. Otherwise. Okay, to begin with, we drew yet we drew yet another creature. Like, we only drew creatures in this game. We got like 2 non-creature spells. Um, Bolt Wave and 1 Monstrous Rage, which we had to use to kill the first Archfiend. Man, that was really, really, really close. Really close. It didn't need to be that close, but I got I got creature screwed somehow. Like normally you get mana screwed, right? Or color screwed, but this time I got creature screwed in the sense that I just drew too many creatures and not enough non-creature spells. I'm enjoying this deck, not gonna lie. I don't see anyone playing this guy, by the way, and I think this guy is really good. It's like a plan B or removal magnet for when you need those things. Okay. I think I die next turn. Can I do anything about it? We have 1 blocker. It may not be enough. It was enough! It was crucial, in fact. I cannot believe it. My opponent got the enchantment and I won despite that. And now we are on the cusp of it. We win the next one and we are done playing constructive. Yeah, like I could grind for like top of the ladder, but like I don't really care about doing that with this deck. Like this deck is kind of built for that. But I do not, this is okay. It's not like killing me or anything, but I also don't really find it like, oh yeah, killing people with red is like my passion, right? Like of course it's not like that. By the way, this hand is fantastic. The best hand that we could, well, not the best hand, but like this is a fantastic hand to see to to get on the Mythic promotion. Followed by a Dotsies. Let's see if my opponent discards the correct card. The Slick Shot dying would be okay. Photos Charm, not so much. That is one of the cards that hurt the most, actually. Well played, opponent. Another Dotsies. You cannot Dotsies me again, so I highly doubt you have 3. Through 2 Dotsies. Yeah, sure, why not? And there we go. Screen captured. This was one stream. I started at Diamond 4, and I think I had like 4 wins. And we're ending at Mythic 96%. When it comes to Limited, I don't like really feel like doing that because it's only draft. If it counted sealed as well, I would already be Mythic with the ridiculous grind that I did for Foundation packs. That was so fun. So yeah, I'm very happy with having reached Mythic. The first time that I did, it was so hard because I was not playing, a ridiculous deck like I am playing today. This time it was really easy in comparison. I might still build the Tarkal version. I feel like it could be pretty good. Anyway, I will be back tomorrow. Tomorrow I will be back. I'll try to play, the content that this channel is known for, aka roguelikes, because I understand that I know that people don't really care about this, and that's why they don't watch. So it's fine. I have not watched my viewer numbers. I go off chat activity mostly because I have noticed that whenever I play Crawl, that is when I have the most chat activity and roguelikes and stuff. And whenever I play other games, there's like death chat. Um, but anyway, see you around. Have a nice rest of your night. Thank you for the continued support. I will be back tomorrow, as I already said, but it might be a later date yet to be determined. Thank you for everything.